So guys, this is Form 3 seminar. Your seminar nota, we have a very short notes on all your Bug 1, Bug 2 in your second page for the pie chart, charter pie. Then your Bug 3, we are trying to summarize into one table. So a lot of students is confusing about this part, so I'm going to explain briefly because this is a short notes, it's not a complete notes. We are just going to complete it with a simplified way so that you guys can try to focus on the words, the keywords. Most likely going to ask for the school exam paper for different school. So we are not going to be very specific, just overall for all the nota. So part 4, if you guys can recall, right, our part 4 is trying to learn the hutan hujan tropika in Malaysia. So hutan hujan tropika, remember, yeah, we are trying to memorize the 5 hutan in your page number 5. So page 3 and page 4 is most likely just your part 3. For the faktor persekitaran under the 4 factor, penemuka bumi saliran, tanah, and then the iklim. So this is all the short notes of page 3 and page 4. Okay, so part 4, I think most of my class already cover 3 or 4 hutan, which is definitely the hutan pantai first, followed by the hutan by air masin. This is the dua hutan yang bersaliran air masin, right? So that's why the hutan-hutan is going to grow all the tumbuh-tumbuhan semula jadi mengikut jarak dari laut. So that's why they have 4 rows or either 3 rows. Depends on the salinan by salinan bawah. So part 4, I'm going to revise later. So this is all the faktor-faktor kepentingan and kesan or your from your part 4 lah. So as long as you guys can focus your page 6, your part 4 should be no problem because that's all the content. You just have to refer to the TDC normal tuition nota and then try to do some of the exercises. This is just the overall notes. So we have all the terms here, all the points. Okay, so for part 5, right, guys, I don't think I'm going to cover the part 5 today because just by the names here, right, you guys have to go for their specific hidupannya yang hampir pupus, trying to memorize their populasi and then trying to memorize where do they stay, which is their kawasan habitat, in which hutan. So we have only the names here, which is not able to help a lot. So you guys have to acquire your textbook. If you guys didn't take TDC tuitions, or you just refer to the TDC tuitions nota in your bar 5, which is the April nota, try to focus on at least 3 animals. I think you guys already can score 4 to 8 marks here just by the ciri-ciri hidupannya yang hampir pupus di Malaysia. So the kepentingan is quite the same with the kepentingan for bar 4, tumbuh-tumbuhan semua jadi is plants, flora. So fauna is the animals. So kepentingan is quite the same. Just trying to maintain the balance, not as ecosystem, keseimbangan ecosystem. Then this is already 2 marks for you all. Just have to memorize the keyword, fakta, and then some try to huraikan with the huraian. So which means ciri-ciri. Okay. So this is your part 5. I'm not going to teach this class. Pay attention during a normal class. Okay. So yeah, just now before I start the class, I really done preparing all your objective answer. So you guys can try to take a screenshot first for the objective. Okay, so guys, we are not going to revise for the part 2. Some students request for it. So if you need part 2, next week, Saturday or Sunday, let's wake up around 6 or 7 a.m. You try to have, let's say, 1 hour just to practice and revise for your part 2. If your school teacher is going to give you guys the tips trying to come up the part 2 charter pi in your midterm exam, I guess most likely not, because charter pi 99% is going to come up in your final. So that's why I assume we are going to save the time for discussing for the part 2. But it doesn't mean that you can give out the whole part 2. They didn't come out the part 2 charter pi in your soalan 1 or bahagian B for the soalan 1 or soalan 2, but definitely they're still going to cover some of the ciri-ciri charter pi in the objective. Okay, so part 1, part 2, maximum combining these 2 topics, maximum 3 objectives from your bahagian A from objectives. So maximum 3 questions for the 2 chapters. So most likely either part 1 or part 2 in your first soalan in bahagian B, which is soalan struktur. So ASA most likely is your part 3 for the faktor persekitaran fizikal, part 4 the kepentingan kesan on tumbuh-tumbuhan semula jadi Malaysia, and the hidupannya for the kesan or kepentingan. Okay, so this is your essay. This is your 3 structure within your geography paper. So bahagian A, 20 questions of MCQ multiple choice questions objective. So bahagian B will be your structure. So bahagian C will be essay. So essay usually is one questions for 10 marks. Most likely it's trying to focus on kepentingan or kesan positive negative. Okay, so guys, done copy. Okay, so for those who wanted to discuss for the objective, not for this class. Yeah, we discuss maybe let's say during the free extra class, not this seminar, next week for my students. So if you are not from my normal class, I hope you can try to get my contact number so to join the free extra class. Maybe next week, weekend, Saturday, Sunday, or another one more week because I'm trying to allocate the extra class for my Form 5 students first. They are trying to prepare for their midterm exam and then their trial percobaan for SPM. So most likely this upcoming Saturday, Sunday, next week, I'm trying to allocate the time for my Form 4, Form 5 first. So there's a Form 3, another one more week. Yeah, most likely the Form 1 is not going to request for extra class. You guys used to become Form 1 students also, right, Austin? Form 1, what is midterm exam? Don't need to study one. So after they are failing a lot, only they are trying to ask teacher, can you teach me for the specific part? So that's why my current Form 1, all very responsive. I think they are too smart to ask me for extra questions. Yeah, they are very responsive, Austin. This year Form 1 is not joking. All the students is asking for very specific exam type questions during the normal tuition class. When I'm trying to skip one question, they say, teacher, why you don't want to do this one? Because repetitive. So that's why I try to skip a lot of exercises during the normal class. They are still trying to insist to discuss every single question. So that's why this year Form 1, all very naughty, all very smart. So I can save my time to need to give them extra class. So it's Form 2, Form 3, next week, this week, Form 4, Form 5. Sorry, next 2 week, Form 2, Form 3. And the upcoming is Form 4, Form 5. Yeah, so done copy, guys. Any question you guys can jot down first. Ask me for the upcoming extra class. So next page, 10 to 50. 100%, all the answer is 100% correct. 100% times 100%, so which means 10,000%. I'm sure there's no mistake, no error in all the objective answer. Okay, why? Because I prepared the answer myself. Okay, so if you found one, I personally buy you a milk. Okay, so Austin, milk tea, I have to find one questions with the error answer, right? Free milk tea. Yeah, that's done copy your objective page number 8, number 9. Done. Đồng Isaac. Form 1. Sudah. At least you guys can done the seminar maybe tonight or tomorrow. You guys can try to revise the objective first and then go back to the seminar nota to try all the remaining structure and then the essay questions. Can only try a few with you all. Okay, so next part. Yeah, for those who really learn from my normal tuition class about the part 4, Hutan Hujan Tropika, so remember, whenever you see the keyword pelapis-lapis, either hutan hujan tropika, either hutan air tawar, or the hutan gunung. Remember? So usually the hutan yang berair tawar, the kelihatan for hutan is always layers. So why hutan paya air tawar only 3 layers? Because hutan paya is saliran borok, so kurang subur. So hutan gunung and hutan hujan tropika saliran baik. Lebih subur, so 4 layers. 4 lapis. So hutan paya air tawar just 3 lapis. So that's why you look at the second keyword. Oh, the daun is berbentuk tirus di hujung. So which means normally the size for the leaf supposed to be berbentuk lebar. So or you can try to rephrase something like daun di hutan hujan tropika, because Malaysia bersize lebar dan berbentuk tirus di hujung. Why? To collect the rainwater and then try to let the rainwater to flow through the leaves so that they are trying to fall down surrounding their kawasan tanah yang berhampiran dengan akarnya. So they are trying to use the leaves to collect the water, try to let it to flow near to their roots. So that's why all the trees can grow super tall, lurus dan tinggi dan bersize lebar for the batang pokok. And then kayu keras. They can receive a lot of sunlight in iklim khatulistiwa, can receive a lot of rainwater. So that's why just by the 2 keywords, you know this is hutan hujan tropika. Yes, no. Not persalinan baik is. I thought yesterday you already learned. Lapis is air tawar, fresh water. We learned it from Tuesday physical class. We learned it from yesterday online class. You still ask me for salinan baik. Salinan baik is the water keep flowing. That's why the tanah usually is subur compared to the salinan borok. So that's why hutan padat air tawar, freshwater berlapis-lapis. Now compared to the salinan baik in hutan hujan tropika and hutan gunung, they are going to consist of 4 layers, so they are just going to have one lesser layer. So 3 layers only for hutan padat air tawar. We just did it on Thursday, right? Or yesterday, actually Friday. That Thursday is Form 1, Form 2 Mandarin class. Yeah, so for the salinan buruk, 3 layers for the hutan padat air tawar, 3 rows, what is the 3 tumbuhan menjala. So which means the rows for hutan pantai is per air masin, right? So we have 4 different rows of plants. So the nearest one, tepat kuda, followed by pokoru, pokok-pokok mengkuang, cemerlang, pintangko laut, and then the pokok kelapa. So this is tumbuh-tumbuhan mengikut cara dari laut. So that's why this is for salinan baik hutan pantai. So salinan buruk hutan padat air masin from 4 rows into 3 rows. And pokok pakau nipah nipong. If you can recall from yesterday class, so which means if you're still asking the same questions I said, rather than keep asking me, try to WhatsApp me to get the recording. Don't need to fill out the form so that you can keep rewatching because you have been asking the questions multiple times. Same questions. Salinan baik, salinan buruk. So done, guys. Okay, so for those your exam is going to cover until the bab 5, right? I assume that most likely they are asking for the Badak Sumatra, the rhinoceros in Malaysia. Most likely we can find all the rhinoceros Badak Sumatra, which is origins from Pulau Sumatra. So they are going to exist also in Semenanjung, Malaysia, but not a lot from our Sabah Sarawak. That's why the whole Pulau Borneo, we have Brunei, Sabah Sarawak, and the Kalimantan. Most likely they didn't able to find any Badak Sumatra because most of the Pulau Borneo will be a lot of hutan gunung. So maybe their hutan hujan tropika also taller than 1,000 or 1,200 meters. So which means the altitude, the ketinggian is quite tall for the Badak Sumatra to survive there. So that's why most of the Badak Sumatra we can find in Semenanjung, Malaysia. So that's why the Royal Belum, the Endau Rumpin, so is Semenanjung, Malaysia. So Taman Negeri Royal Belum, Perak, you guys have to memorize since your bab 5, I haven't started yet. So Endau Rumpin, for those who attended my Form 1 class before. Actually, yes, Form 1, Austin, Joshua, sometimes during the physicals in USH, I'm not sure you can recall back your Form 1 class before. Sungai Endau is your Form 1 bab 7. For the sungai bersempadan dengan Pahang dan Johor. But Sungai Endau is most likely near to the Pahang. Sungai Rumbun is most likely near to the Johor, right? So that's why this Taman Negara Endau Rumbin is in between of Pahang and Johor, so which means part of Semenanjung, Malaysia. Then there will be have the Badak Sumatra. So remember, most of the Badak Sumatra is located in Semenanjung, Malaysia. So that's why in Semenanjung, Malaysia, the first national park, Taman Negara Pahang, the Form 3 currently we are trying to learn, rather than Panjang Didi Wangsa, because Panjang Didi Wangsa, Panjara Matana tinggi ma. So Badak Sumatra cannot try to survive there. So the second hutan hujan tropika we are trying to memorize is the Taman Negara Pahang or Taman Negara Pahang. So this is, they are not going to let you guys to choose. So the first pusat pemeliharaan, which means the place to preserve all the Badak Sumatra will be Taman Negara Pahang first, Taman Negara Pahang, first national park in Malaysia, followed by Royal Belum in Perak, followed by the Pahang and Johor and Taman Negara Endau Rumpin. So that's why some of the ahli forensic, okay, those geologists, they are trying to send the Badak Sumatra to live in Sabah, Tapin Lahatatu, which is near to the Gunung Mulu. So Gunung Mulu, below the Gunung Mulu, right? This is Hutan Gunung. Below Gunung Mulu, we have Taman Negara. Under the Gunung Mulu. So, Tapin, so they are trying to have a pusat pemeliharaan for gajah pygmy in Malaysia. So the gajah pygmy, this habitat is not too tall, not achieving 1,000 meters. So they are trying to gather the gajah pygmy and the Badak Sumatra together in the tabby. So all the Badak Sumatra, if you guys attend my Form 5 class, I will try to explain to you. I Google it. I Google ChatGPT and I found that most of the Badak Sumatra that our ahli forensic and then the geologist sent to the Tabim, Taman Negara Tabim in Lahatatu, we sent almost 20 to 30, all passed away. We are trying to preserve the Badak Sumatra and then they are all passed away because this is not their habitat. So this habitat belongs to those wild animals like orang utan, gajah pygmy. So when we try to assume that, oh, maybe this area is for herbivores like gajah pygmy. Then we try to let the herbivores, gajah pygmy, to stay together, live together with the Bata Sumatra, and all the Bata Sumatra pass away. They can't even reproduce. So yes, bravo to Malaysia. So when you guys are learning the Bab 5 in my class, you guys are going to notice Malaysian zoologists did a lot of mistakes. A lot of mistakes. Okay, so including the sea turtle. Yeah, we have a very funny not going to share from your school teacher, so I'm going to share because we have one penyu. If you guys can Google that, black leather. So the largest kind of sea turtle surviving in the world, fully extinct in Malaysia and Indonesia, fully extinct until almost year 2022 after the COVID-19, right? Some of the geologists find out that there's still lesser than 10 leatherback sea turtle surviving within those islands without any civilization, which means no kekayaan manusia in Indonesia. So that's why most of the world, they are trying to spend the resources to preserve and conserving the leatherback sea turtle because Malaysia successfully tried to toss all the sea turtle. Usually they are almost 50% of the sea turtle is going to stay in Malaysia, Terengganu, but all of them already fully extinct in Malaysia. So we have less than 10 because Malaysia like to use plastic bag. Yeah, so this is why all the plastic bag float around within the Pinggir Laut and then causing all the leatherback fully extinct before 2017. So we just found less than 10 within the unmanned island in Indonesia. So this is why Malaysia did a lot of mistakes. So done for all objectives. So guys, prepare for your Bab 1 now. So Bab 1, can I try to put your first page, put 3 numbers. First one, always focusing in your graph bar mudah. So if you wanted to learn how to draw for the garisan, mudah, and then the gabungan, refer to your school teacher, okay? Because I already done this one during the December, before January, right? Because January we are trying to enter the Bab 2. So November, December, we already fully completed all the 3 graphs here. But all the 1, 2, 3 graphs here, graph bar, graph garisan, and graph gabungan. Gabungan is combining the graph bar and then graph garisan. So I just try to briefly go through. Your graph gabungan, we have 2 paksi Y. So this is your paksi X. I think you guys all know that the paksi X is referring to quantity. So paksi Y is for different items. So maybe they can refer to the number, refer to the money, refer to the quantity, right? But graph gabungan, most likely in your midterm exam or your final term, you are going to focus on 2 items. So highlight dua perkara saling berkaitan. So the dua perkara yang saling berkaitan most likely in your form 3, I think not most likely 99% is focusing in your suhu and then the hujan. So which is recognized as our iklim lah. Okay, 99% because they still have 1% they are going to related to the harga jualan and then the pengeluaran. So maybe the first paksi Y will be the harga. So the next paksi Y2 will be referring to the keluaran known as quantity. So this is for different months or maybe different time for the graph gabungan. So most likely 99% try to focus on the iklim. So iklim for the 2 first data we have to memorize is always suhu first and then followed by the hujan. So that's why if you guys can refer back to your Form 2 syllabus, Form 2 Bab 4, iklim Katolicea, right? So guys, we have been practicing since Form 2. So Adelphia, Ashley, what is the mean suhu Malaysia? I said. Stella, Form 1, Tarani. Suhu Malaysia, iklim Katolicea. For the mean suhu tahunan, it's always 27 degrees Celsius, right? But if you guys can recall from the Form 2 Bab 4, the mean suhu tahunan is purata suhu tahunan. Malaysia from January to December, we do not have a fixed 27 degrees Celsius, but the gap known as jurah suhu tahunan from January to December for the temperature, right? Usually it's hampir sekata. What is hampir sekata? Quite the same, which means the changes not more than 3 degrees Celsius. So that's why jurah suhu tahunan yang kecil, usually from January to December, the temperature is around 26 to 29. So that's why they are going to have lesser than 3 degrees Celsius gap. So that's why this is what we call mean suhu tahunan from 26 to 29. Angka the number is around 27 point something. So consider as 27. So this is our mean suhu tahunan, hampir sekata. Then we are trying to jot down the data for suhu in your Y2. Because Y2 is for the graph garisan. Okay, so remember Y2 is for your graph garisan. This is your garisan, right? So which means your Y1 will be your graph bar. Okay, so this is your Y1. Y1 is for your graph bar. I mentioned this one a lot, right? I said, yeah, Y1 is your graph bar. Okay, and then Y2 is your suhu. So which means your hujan from January to December is totally not going to repeating the same jumlah hujan in MM, right? So every month we have different rainwater due to the angin monsoon timur laut, angin monsoon barat daya, and then the angin swell. So that's why all the hujan every month is totally different. Then we have to jot down for the graph bar. Why? Because graph bar, if you guys can recall from your part one, graph bar, the intentions for all the bar here is to show, guys, what's the keyword? Graph bar. What's the intentions to drawing all the different bar here? And then the graph barisan is going to have up and down. So graph bar is the highest with the lowest one. So graph bar is for parabarisan. So that's why the tallest and then the shortest we can find which month is the tallest, second tallest, the third one, and then followed by comparing to the lowest. So that's why we can find parabarisan. Remember the tafsiran? So that's why graph bar here for the hujan is to find parabarisan, which one is having the highest rainwater and which one is the lowest rainwater. Where your graph garisan is trying to find increasing, decreasing. What do we call it other than Austin? Increasing, decreasing. You see? I'm asking for my own Form 2 students, so that's why I'm not targeting you yet, Form 1. Yeah, Joshua, what's the function for the graph garisan now? Increasing, decreasing. So progression is differences. Graph bar is to find differences from the tallest to the shortest one. So that's why graph garisan is to find increasing, decreasing for the first time. Joshua, that's why pay attention during the class, Joshua. The Form 3 class is too many students. I can't control one by one. So talk like during the physical class. So that's why guys, highlight changes. So changes which means either meningkat or menurun. Okay, so perpetuation is highest compared to the lowest. That's why we are able to find the differences within your graph bar from your boxy Y1. So Y2 is for quite the same, either meningkat menurun, just little bit for the suhu. So this is your Y2. Okay, so other than the main points here for perbedaan perubahan, so you still have to be careful on drawing the graph bar and graph garisan, because when you guys are drawing for the graph bar, I'm using another different color so that you guys can circle the differences. When graph bar and graph gabungan combine to form your graph gabungan, right? So graph bar trying to draw for all the different bar with spacing in between. So that's why your graph bar is going to have space in between from your paxi Y. So paxi Y and your graph bar is not going to connect together. We have some spacing here. But when we are trying to draw the graph bar within your graph gabungan, the graph bar within your Y1 is contact with your paxi Y, which is your Y1. Is contact, which means stick to each other so that we can try to fit in most likely your bulan-bulan for all the hujan. Understand? So when we are trying to draw for the graph garisan, right? Your garisan yang meningkat menurun is stick to your paxi Y. So this is not going to stick, but this is going to stick. Opposite. When we are trying to draw for the graph gabungan, your graph garisan and then your paxi Y2 is not going to stick, including your Y1. So Y1 to Y2, your graph garisan is not going to stick to the two paxi Y. Understand? So that's the differences. Okay? Any questions now? Form 1? Ravina? Hi, Tarani. Sorry, Tarani. Can I? So all the three graphs here, no questions. All the three graphs we are able to draw is based on Jadwal. So remember, all the three graphs able to draw is from your Jadwal. Okay, so that's how many methods to find the data for the Jadwal, which means what is the sumber, what is the resources. We are able to find for all the data and then the maklumat and data here. Graph gabungan won't come out right. I assume not lah. Okay, just now I tried to mention most likely your midterm exam is going to focus on graph bar Why? Because they have more marks to allocate when we have to draw for the potential. That's why I haven't teach for the part 2 yet, right? So graph bar is the version 1. So Chatterpie is the version 2.0. It's quite similar. So it's 99.99% similar with your graph bar model. So Chatterpie is the upgrade version, right? Whatever target you guys can try to build the the graph bar model. So we can use the same informations to prepare for your pie chart because they are trying to find a jumlah from each bar. They are also able to find jumlah from each segment. So that's why you can try to look at their target, right? So the target mempersamakan data usually is for the jumlah from the tallest to the lowest, right? So this is able to find the 100% from the jumlah pie chart. So that's why they are able to find. Oh, they didn't have the contour here. So guys, if you guys still keeping your part 1 and part 2 TDC nota line back to November, December, and January, you guys are able to find out all the contour target able to draw for the graph bar model is the same for drawing out the Chatterpie. So before we try to draw out all the Chatterpie, graph garisan, and graph gabungan, right, including the pie chart Chatterpie, we are based on your Jada. So in order to collect all the information, like maklumat and data, we have how many sumber to find out the informations. So Adelphia, my answer is I'm not sure for your school. That's why you guys have to show me your exam paper so that I can help your junior in future. But your senior didn't show me their exam paper. So we ask your 姐姐 why she didn't pass me her geography paper during her Form 3 classes. Okay, I think she entered my Form 3 classes before until her Form 4 economic class. Yeah, go back your 姐姐. She didn't show me the paper. So that's why I didn't have enough data to estimate what is a KK, right? I assume your school is SMKK, right? Kotak Kemuning. So that's why I didn't have enough the paper that I cannot predict what is going to come up in your first term midterm exam. So if you ask me for Catholic, no problem. Anyone from Catholic? Anyone? Catholic students, most likely Catholic student is attending my Mandarin class, not English class one. So no Catholic students, right? So we have a lot of except separation of Catholic. Which class? 3A or 3B. Okay, so for Catholic students, make sure you are able to draw either graph or graph gabungan. 100% for Catholic not going to come a graph gabungan. 100%. So if they really come a graph gabungan, which means the cikgu is in this class trying to say, teacher Yang say cannot graph gabungan, then they purposely try to come up one. Now for the past 10 years, first term exam, they're always asking for graph bar or graph garisan only. And then 80% from the first term exam or midterm exam for the first time exam, they're going to focus on graph bar because they didn't have enough chapter to ask for the remaining bahagian B and C. So that's why bahagian B for the first question, they have to allocate more marks here from the petunjuk. So that's why graph garisan and graph gabungan to need to prepare petunjuk. So this is your extra 1 or 2 more marks. And then your and then your Chatterpie also have to prepare petunjuk. So that's why first term exam most likely is graph bar for Catholic high school, and then the final terms either graph bar again or Chatterpie in your final term. This is the pattern for Catholic high school. And then for those USA students, right? I'm sorry, because most of the USA Form 3 students for the past 3 years don't want to share me their exam paper, so I have no idea. Yeah, so that's why if you guys were my former Form 2 students before in physical class, I'm going to definitely force you to give me your exam paper. So Joshua, Form 2 just online class, I didn't able to collect mass data. I cannot predict for all the USA and Puchong students. So that's why I have only the data for Catholic high school. So we earn your KK, I didn't teach there. So ask your 姐姐, why do you want to help teacher you young to collect the exam paper? Yeah, so guys, third time for the questions, one more time. How many methods to collect the symbol for all the information here? How many methods? Austin? Very good, 5. So what is the 5 methods here? 5 methods to collect all the symbol. First one, observation. So you guys try to jot down here. I think this is going to come up either in your objective or should do. Never essay questions. So the first one, observations. Yes, kaida pemerhatian. Sorry for my handwriting, new students. Pemerhatian. So just observation. So the next method, observation have to observe one by your own. So that's why you are trying to save energy. Try to ask your friends from school or the people passing by you. Try to fill out the survey form. So the survey form is 60 marks. You try to send me your exam paper, Joshua, for the Gerard Bestari, the model paper, right? You send me. I try to analyze for you whether the paper is good quality paper or not. You send me after the class. But I'm going to view all your WhatsApp tomorrow. Today I'm very emo. Sorry, I'm kind of emo and happy at the same time. Very exciting. This is the last seminar class I'm teaching. So tomorrow I have one whole day, 24 hours to keep sleeping and eating. So I'm not going to reply your message until Monday. Sorry, Joshua. So guys, first method is observation. Second method is try to send the survey form before interview or before interview. So it's known as borang soal se. Very good. Borang soal selidit. Can you try to step back a little after the last class, right? 9 to 10 p.m. You step at least 5 minutes. Let me scan through. Try to slightly explain to you the paper, which part still have to revise back. Just give you 5 minutes. Okay, Joshua? Okay, so borang soal selidit survey form. So you have to save your energy because observations from 1 to 1. Let's say you have to observe 50 students. Maybe every student take 1 minute, then you have to step almost 50 minutes to observe one by one. Okay, let's say 30 seconds. You still have to take around half an hour, right? So if borang soal selidit, just try to release the form for your friends, for the group of 50 people, 100 people to fill out the form. Just within 5 to 10 minutes, you can try to get back the result. So it's much more efficient. Yeah. So what is the third method? You don't need to observe so many people, don't need to send so many survey forms. Just try to ask for the representative. Let's say you wanted to know what is the situation for school. You try to interview the principal, interview the guru tingkatan for the whole class. Okay, so this is known as interviewing the move. So you should just try to interview the authority, try to interview the representative. So let's say if I wanted to ask, how do you guys think of your current Bug 4 and Bug 5? Can I try to ask those students didn't attend my class before? So let's say, let's see, especially you didn't attend my class, right? Because I'm not able to memorize your name. And then Rojana. Are you Rex or Rojana? Lee Fong Yin. Okay, so that's why you guys are not going to learn my methods to memorize all the hutan. So maybe if later I have time, I try to teach you guys my technique. So usually most of my students here, they know how to not following the school teacher to memorize for the 5 hutan in your Bug 4. So usually your school teacher is trying to ask you guys to memorize the hutan gunung, hutan hujan tropika, hutan paya, air masih, air tawar, and hutan pantai according to the penduduk muka bumi, and then the salinan. So my method is using air tawar or air masih. Much more easier. You're not Rex. Okay, sorry, Rajana. So you also didn't attend my class. I hope I have time to mention later. So guys, after the interviewing, so the next one is trying to refer to the published material. Published material known as corpus. Austin, I bet you haven't forgotten. No, it's not rujukan, it's kepustakaan. You refer to the published material like newspaper, magazine, or those interview content, video clip. This is what we call kepustakaan. So / rujukan because you refer to the published material. Yes, kepustakaan. So guys, this is only 4 methods, right? So we have the most important one. So that's our purpose. Try to write on the left-hand side. This is trying to gather the information from the authority. So authority try to study, try to survey on their own. So they are not as government. No? So government have the authority data. Then you're just using the facts. Try to finish up your information for the maklumat and then the data. So this is known as census for English. So bracket census, CENSUS. What's the bahasa terms, Austin? So Joshua, long forgotten, right? Wait, Tarani, totally forgotten on the 5 methods to gather the information. So bahasa is known as Panchi census. So 100% is going to come out in bahasa, not English. English is just for us to explain to you all during the normal class. So done. So Bug 1, Bug 2, any questions? So I'm going to skip Bug 2 because if I were to explain for the Bug 2, I don't think we have enough time to settle your Bug 3. This is important information. I wanted to focus on this part. So for those who wanted to ask me for extra class next 2 weeks, this is my contact number. Don't need to pay for any tuition fee, just revising using the current TDC seminar nota or the TDC nota, the current tuition nota. I'm just going to share you guys the soft copy, but you guys already taking the tuitions from TDC, then you can just refer to the soft copy. I will send you. but I just hope that you don't want to share around because it's TDC material. Copyright. Okay, so done for the part two. So focus on your part one. So Isaac, as I mentioned before, Kylie is not here. I'm not sure about the BBSL exam format, but I already asked you to learn how to draw for the graph bar and then the tafsiran, right? So graph Karisa, the tafsiran, right? And then the graph gabungan tafsiran, right? Remember, you still owe me the homework. Yeah, so part two, finish already. Rather than pointing him, remember when you are pointing someone, you have another 4 or 3 fingers is pointing back to yourself. Okay, Kami, he's not trying to learn, then I'm just going to ignore him. Yeah, so which means most of the Tuesday, I think I'd rather try to spend the time for Form 4 students for revision extra class. So if you guys are still there, not trying to submit your homework, not trying to pay attention during the class, guys, part 3. So part 3, we have different tumbuh-tumbuhan semula jadi able to grow in Malaysia. So that's why when this is berbagai tumbuh-tumbuhan, they are going to form as a jungle, what you guys have to refer here. But if this is just Malaysia, right? So Malaysia, we are just going to focus on the tallest mountain in Malaysia, Hutan Gunung, followed by the Hutan Hujan Tropika and tanah pamah yang rendah. Salinan buruh, right? So this is our Hutan Payak Air Tawar, followed by the Hutan Payak Air Masin, which is pinggir laut yang rendah. So the side outside the seaside will be the Hutan Pantan. So this is the 5 hutan in Malaysia. Okay, which is the part 4, right? But this is part 3. So guys, all the 5 hutan here, if we have to memorize from other region, other countries also, we are trying to focus on the first ciri pendemuka bumi. So guys, use your pencil, use your pen to write down. This is the first part you guys have to memorize first. Pendemuka bumi. So guys, in your form 3 part 3, what's the first pendemuka bumi you guys have to refer? Is it? First pendemuka bumi. If you guys have a TC nota now or your textbook, refer to your part 3 now. What is the first pendemuka bumi you guys have to memorize? Tanah tinggi, right? So in Tanah Tinggi, we have to memorize for the Banjaran Crocker and then the Banjaran Himalaya. So that's why the space here is for you guys to read through, but you guys have to memorize for the tumbuh-tumbuhan semula jadi and the hidupannya within Banjaran Crocker and Banjaran Himalaya. So guys, TT first, followed by the second, TP, Tanah Pamah. So the third one will be your pinggir laut. Okay, so this is your first faktor persekitaran physical. So the second factor persekitaran physical is your saliran, right? So saliran, we have the baik and buruk. So within your saliran baik and buruk, only we are trying to learn from our part 3 for the Hutan Payak Air Masin and Air Tawar. For how many countries? Anyone can recall? Saliran baik, how many countries we have to memorize? Saliran baik. Saliran baik in your part 3, Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, Australia, and US. Hutan Payak Air Tawar. Is it US? No, Brazil. I'm sure you guys are for TTC Nota. Just try to memorize the contoh-contoh axis in our TTC Nota will do. So this is your Hutan Payak Air Tawar. In your TTC Nota, this Hutan Pantai. Okay, so that's the 5 hutan here. Hutan Payak Air Tawar. Please Hutan Payak Air Tawar. Oh, sorry. Yeah, Malaysia, Thailand, sorry. Not including the Indonesia. Indonesia is Hutan Pantai. So Malaysia, Thailand, Australia, and Brazil. So 4 countries. So jot down in your current seminar nota. Saliran Baik pula. Yeah, Saliran Baik, we have 4 hutan. Sorry guys. So all the Saliran Baik, 4 to 5 hutan. Later I try to explain that it's according to the Tanah Pamah. So for the Hutan Paya first, this is Saliran Buruk. So right now, slash into 2 sides. Okay, so for the first side, is your Hutan Payak Air Tawar, the freshwater one. Hutan Payak Air Tawar, we have to memorize for Malaysia, followed by Thailand, followed by Australia, and then the Brazil. Okay, so at least 1 Hutan Payak to memorize. So for the Hutan Payak Air Masin, For objective, we have to at least memorizing two. So for Malaysia, yes. So what is the Hutan Paya? I must in Malaysia. So if you guys can recall back from the current form 4, right? Sorry, the part 4 in your these 2 weeks for the normal tuition class, we have to memorize for the Lawu Matan, and then Tanjung Piai, and then the Tanjung Manis below the Delta Raja, and then one more. Lumut in Perak also. So there's at least two for Kuta Paya, IMRC in Malaysia, and then for Thailand, right, Pulau PP. Okay, so this is your also Thailand, and then followed by Australia, and then also the Brazil. So that's your content in your current TVC tuition class. Malaysia, Thailand, Australia, Brazil. So this is at least one, this is at least two. Okay, Telok Lahad also can memorize. Pulau PP, Panga, Tentry River, Darwinshaw, Telok Santos, and then One City. So we always starting to memorize all the content from your Saliran Buruh first. Because most likely it's going to come out in objective and your struktur. Always Saliran Buruh first. So that's why in the Pentemuka Bumi, Tanah Tinggi, Tanah Paman, Pinggir Laut, which of the Pentemuka Bumi is going to link to the Saliran Buruh? Definitely we have Tanah Paman and Pinggir Laut. So that's why Tanah Paman for the Saliran Buruh is Hutan Paya Air Tawar. Try to memorize the contour. So what is the contour? Malaysia, Hutan Paya Air Tawar, Tasir Burang. So what's the contour for Hutan Paya Air Tawar in Thailand? You guys can memorize the Khor Samui, the easy Khor Samui. Wait, I show within the left hand side for your TDC nota. For Hutan Paya Air Tawar in Thailand, Tho Teng, and then the Menam Chao Phraya for the longest river and the largest river in Bangkok. Chao Phraya. Okay, so always try to recall the contour for Hutan Paya, Air Tawar, and Air Masin, because the remaining for Hutan Pantai in Pinggir Laut, Hutan Hujan Tropika, and Tanah Tinggi, just memorize the name. Don't need to memorize the ciri-ciri. Just the name. Like I said, once Tanah Tinggi already mentions Panjaran Crocker and Panjaran Himalaya. So this is your Tanah Tinggi. Right now below here, we have to memorize Panjaran Crocker in Sabah, Malaysia, and then another one it will be the Himalaya. So the ciri-ciri for Panjaran Crocker and Panjaran Himalaya is melebihi 180 meter dari aras laut. And second ciri, all the plants is going to become shorter, right? So that's why remember, always memorizing the rendah first, followed by pantut and rene. When the altitude ketinggian is melebihi 1,200 meter in this tanah tinggi. So they are going to grow shorter first, okay, shorter, and then smaller size, which is pantut, followed by small and short rene. So that's why next class for my normal tuition class, we are just going to enter the Hutan Gunung in Malaysia. Taman Negara Gunung Mulu, and then the Panjaran Crocker. Why? Because we have 4 layers, right? For the Hutan Tinggi. This is Air Tawar, we have 4 layers. So that's why Montane Bawah, we have the Pokok Kecil, followed by Pokok Rendah, Pokok Pantut, and then Pokok Rene for exceeding 3,500 meters. The Hutan Gunung. So that's why this is 2 contoh in your part 3, Panjaran Crocker and Panjaran Himalaya. So guys, for those who attended my class before, Joshua, in Panjaran Crocker and Himalaya, what is the common plants able to survive in this Hutan Gunung yang sejuk? The 2 common plants, other than lumut, the L and K. L is for lumut, is a type of moss. So the second moss will be the K, known as kulang fa'il. Okay, so Austin, for the orchid, right? Orchids is only for the Montane Bawah, and then the lapisan all time, exceeding 3,500 meter and from 1,200 to 1,800. So I try to memorize for the Hutan Gunung, right? For the orchid is using this one O and P. So P we have the Periuk Kera for the Montane Atas, and then the Tumbuhan Hampir Alpine for the center 2 layer. So for the uppers and then the lowest in Hutan Gunung is always orchid. Okay, I try to explain in the next class. So guys, this is your part 3 for the Panjaran Crocker Himalaya. So in Tanah Paman, not just Malaysia, what is the Hutan axis in Tanah Paman? Rather than the Tanah Paman yang utama di seluruh dunia, so right now bracket, this is Tanah Paman utama. Right down here, Tanah Paman utama di dunia. So we have to memorize 2 dataran, 3 lembangan, right? So dataran Siberia Barat, dataran Manchuria, lembangan Congo, lembangan Ganges, Brahmaputra, lembangan Murray. I even show you guys where's the locations from the world map, right? So this is Tanah Paman Utama Dunia, only for objective. But when we are trying to memorize what is the hutan around the world, going to have the hutan located in Tanah Pama is we have hutan hujan tropika, right? Hutan hujan tropika in Malaysia and Amazon, remember? So bracket, we have Malaysia and Amazon. But the plants is totally two different plants, right? Okay, hutan Malaysia, hutan hujan tropika, and then the Amazon in Brazil. Okay, so hutan monsoon tropika is for all the Southeast Asia country, but there's the Form 2 syllabus. So there's a Form 3, we try to memorize India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka, right? So this is all the four. This is just all the hutan monsoon tropika for all the four countries just for Form 3 syllabus. So Form 2 can memorize above Malaysia, we have Thailand, Myanmar, Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam, and then Philippines. Including Indonesia, they still have a lot of hutan monsoon tropika. So that's why Indonesia has hutan hujan and hutan monsoon tropika. But most of their hutan is just monsoon tropika. Okay, so other than hutan monsoon tropika and hutan hujan tropika, what is one more hutan in Tanah Pama, but it's very sejuk, and then it's going to have snow falling during their winter season, musim sejuk, and then they have the CD, FPS, pokok cedar, pokok birch, fir, pine spruce. So this is the Canada within the Lake Tasek Great St. Lawrence. This is their hutan conifer. So this is the only hutan in Tanah Pama yang hutan sejuk, merupakan hutan sejuk. So this hutan conifer. So if you refer to the red color, this is why hutan yang panas. So blue color is the hutan yang sejuk, hutan conifer near to the Pacific Great St. Lawrence is Canada. So guys, we have one more hutan to memorize. One more hutan. This hutan is within the above the Middle East country. So which means I give you guys the contour, right? Turkey, Syria, they have all the seaside covering the oceans. So the ocean is like a lake to them. So this is a lake, but actually it's salt water, but they are able to flow up, connect to the Lautan Atlantic. So this is known as hutan. For Syria, and then the most important country, Turkey. Anyone can recall? The Tane Terra Rosa. Very good, Isaac. Mediterranean. Can spell Mediterranean, right? Double R, you're missing one R. There's your one marks missing. So Mediterranean. Ranean. So that's why we have four hutan here in Tanah Pama. Okay, 1, 2, 3, hutan yang panas. But this is panas, sederhana panas. So this is definitely in zone panas. So this is in zone sejuk sederhana, conifer for the incline Siberia. Okay, guys, done. So for pinggir laut, we have 5 countries to memorize. So you guys can see, right? We have limited space, so that's why we try to mention the pinggir laut for the countries here. So guys, pinggir laut, how many countries we have to memorize? 5 countries. So what are the 5 countries? First one, always start from Malaysia first, followed by Indonesia, and then followed by Thailand, the Pulau PP, and then the Koh Samui, Thailand. So the next one will be Australia and US, America Syarikat. America Syarikat. So when I try to mention all the 5 countries here, are you guys able to memorize the contoh-contoh hutan pantai yang berpasir? So this is usually pinggir laut for the hutan pantai berpasir, hutan pantai. So Malaysia, we can memorize Dumun in Bab 4. So if just Bab 3, we can memorize hutan pantai in Malaysia, Port Dickson. So Port Dickson for Bab 3, Dumun for Bab 4. And then we can memorize one more, let's say, Sabah, Pulau Sibadan. So total, we can at least memorizing 3. So other than these 3, can you guys try to give other contoh? Can Pulau Ketam, Pulau Perhentian, Pulau Pangkor, Pulau Langkawi. This is all the hutan pantai yang berpasir in Malaysia. But if this is the hutan pantai berpasir in Indonesia, can you guys recall? The island, we have 4 sultan one. Pulau Raja, Pulau Raja, the Empat changed to Ampat. Pulau Raja Ampat in Indonesia. So for Thailand, Pulau PP, Koh Samui. So for Australia, we have the the Wine Blast, and then the Whitehaven Beach, which is the pinggir laut. So for Australia, we have the Teluk Hanauma near to Hawaii, and then we have another one, the Coast Guard, Pantai Coast Guard. Okay, so please try to refer to your Bab 3. This is the hutan pantai in your Bab 3. This is pinggir laut, right? So hutan pantai. Okay, pantai Coast Guard, Hanoma, wine glass, white heaven. So Thailand, Pulau PP, Koh Samui. So usually I cannot memorize prior, as I mentioned many times before, right? So Indonesia, Pulau Raja Empat. And then this Pantai Barat, Sumatra. So Pulau Roda, Pulau Timah, Pulau Rumpia, Pulau Perhentian, Pulau Langkawi, Pulau Ketam, for the crab one. Yeah, this is all the contour in Malaysia. So hutan pantai is easy to memorize. We can skip the Malaysia, focus on the other former countries. No? So this is all the Pendamuka Bumi. Any questions? Tanah Pama, lower than 180 meter. So Tanah Tinggi, higher than 180 meter. So pinggir laut, just Perbasir, Pelumpur. Can I? So we have done the Pendamuka Bumi and Saliran. So Saliran by, so guys, this is why I always starting to memorize all the factor here from Saliran Buruk. Right? Saliran Buruk around the world. Also going to memorize for the Hutan Paya, Masin and Hutan Paya Air Tawar. Always these two hutan is Saliran Buruk. So the remaining hutan, right? From hutan hujan tropika until all the gurun panas, pada nombor hawa sederhana, hutan tahun dulu sederhana, all these hutan is always your Saliran Baik. So that's why Saliran Baik always try to refer to your Tanah Pama. So guys, you guys can jot down in your page number 3. Tanah Pama is always Saliran Baik, yang tidak bertanggung air. So Saliran Buruk sentiasa bertanggung air. So what is hutan yang tidak bertanggung air? We have it from hutan hujan tropika. Okay, hutan monsoon tropika, hutan conifer, and then your hutan Mediterranean. Okay, Terra. Terranen. So other than these 4 hutan in Tanah Pamang, so this is the 4 hutan yang Persarian Bayan. So if you wanted to memorize other hutan, hutan tundra, hutan gurun panas, panas hawa sederhana, yes, this is all the other hutan according to the iklim in Bakri still belongs to Saliran Bayan. How do we know? Because they are not going to have stagnant water, the still water within the Saliran Buruk. Like hutan Bayan air tawar, air masin. Okay, so shall remember? Still water, the only USH class I'm trying to focus on for the still water. Yeah, so usually I'm trying to mention Spartago air, stagnant water. Okay, so just remember these 2 hutan Paya, Saliran Buruk. So the remaining hutan. So guys, do you guys need me to memorize what is the Cendol, Tumbuh, Tumbuhan, and then the Hidupan Liar? Do you think we have time? Yes or no? Okay, on your own, guys. All the hutan here, memorize on your own. So the 2 factor, finish already. What is the 3rd factor? The 3rd factor is to memorize the Tane first, right? So Tane, how do we memorize? It's time to use your red pen and then the blue pen, right? So guys, which Tane is the first number? My method, from the coldest to the warmest, right? So what's the first Tane? Always in iklim, tundra. So this is your Tane. Permafrost. So right now on the right hand side, Tane permafrost, Tane Peku. So highlight Tane Peku. So Tane permafrost in your page 4, link all the way back to your. Well, they didn't have the hutan here. Yeah, we have the hutan now. Yeah, so this is your hutan tundra. Sorry, hutan tundra for the Tane permafrost. So hutan tundra, we can memorize lumut and kulam pak. So that's why we have the birch. And then below, and then have ikan. So this is all the trees. So memorize, lumut and kulampal is the basic for the moss, able to survive in the tanah yang sangat beku, suhu yang sangat rendah. Okay, so this hutan tundra for the tanah permafrost. You guys know that hutan tundra is under which iklim, right? So hutan tundra, iklim tundra, your Form 2 syllabus. Okay, so permafrost yang melampau sejuk. So that's why beku, right? So highlight always beku. So there's very limited plants able to grow here. So that's why we only try to memorize lichen or below. So after that, second number for after the permafrost will be your Rani, Ravina. Below the iklim tundra, hutan tundra is known as iklim Siberia for the Tane. Another P, right? Potzo. So Potzo also Pegu, but is thinner and then the black color per acid, right? Okay, so Tane Potzo is within which iklim? Below the tundra will be iklim Siberia, right? So Siberia will be the hutan conifer. So if you guys really cannot memorize the iklim, right? So remember, hutan tundra is your form 2 syllabus, iklim tundra lah. Okay, so for the hutan conifer, we are trying to memorize iklim Siberia. So iklim Siberia, what we have to memorize? CBFPS. Okay, this is compulsory to memorize 5 hutan for iklim Siberia. So currently, you guys are going to stop within your bab 3 only. When we link to the bab 8, all the hutan conifer within the iklim Siberia. So it's iklim Siberia. Okay, hutan conifer iklim Siberia. So that's why you guys highlight here. Hutan conifer iklim Siberia. This is going to memorize all the chiri here. So this chiri also have to memorize for your bab 8 under the hutan conifer. Yeah, so this is all the chiri. Iklim later we highlight. So pots all finish, right? So iklim Siberia, below iklim Siberia will be the iklim steppe, right? So iklim steppe is going to have the Tane. Where is Tane? Chernosem, oh sorry, my eyes. So below the iklim Siberia is iklim steppe. This is your Tane Chernosem. So Tane Chernosem also having the same chiri, right? Oh, they didn't mention chiri here. So this is Tane Hitam, but the Tane Hitam terdapat di kawasan. So write down dan Pegu. Sorry, my handwriting. Pegu. So Tane Chernosem is going to Pegu, but only for musim sejuk. So why do I have to mention these 3 Tane first? Because they are going to mention as Tane Pegu. Even though the Chernosem is only Pegu during the winter, and permafrost also Pegu almost for the 1 whole year, at least 6 to 8 months and above. So that's why whenever we have the Tane and Pegu for the permafrost first, Potso later, and then the last one is Chernosem, they have the chiri for their tumbuh-tumbuhan semula jadi, yeah, guys. Tane is the compositions below the tanah. So soil is tane. Tanah is land. So that's why the tanah usually is trying to mention including the rocks also, non-organic and organic. Okay, so that's why tanah is more on bentuk muka bumi. So that's why we are trying to learn the composition of soil, tane, as our third chiri. Okay, so guys, this is the tane yang sejuk dan beku. What is the chiri for the plants here? 2 chiri, anyone? Because this is tane yang beku, and beku for the Chernosem. So when these 3 tane, permafrost, potso, Chernosem, and beku, the plant is going to have longer or shorter roots. I said, I thought you are able to answer always. These 3 tane beku, the roots, the akar, Zobi, Zehan, Sita, common sense, right? Tane and beku, can you guys just try to imagine the plants trying to grow their roots to touch the tane beku or not? Since this is all the tane and beku, so that's why they are not going to let their akar to contact with the tane beku because it's going to freeze up the whole plants. They are going to die. So that's why this is going to have the chiri, akar pendek. They didn't have akar pendek here. So right now, for the permafrost also, akar pendek. Chernosem also akar pendek. So that's why tumbuh-tumbuhan renek. So tumbuh-tumbuhan renek and akar pendek. So when we have akar pendek for the tumbuh-tumbuhan, then the plants with short roots usually cannot try to grow taller. Just like we are learning for the hutan paya air masin, right? So they have the akar jangkang and then the akar ceraja. Remember, for breathing is akar ceraja. So akar jangkang, the healthy roots, Jiankang punya akar is trying to support the trees from not falling. So that's why the roots have to be growing longer. So longer, then they can support the trees from growing taller. So that's why this akar yang pendek, and pendek. So that's why the plants also becoming tumbuhan renek. So what's tumbuhan renek, guys? So akar pendek dan tumbuhan renek. So tumbuhan renek is shorter and smaller size. So tumbuhan renek too. For all the 3 tane here. So this is their common chiri characteristic. So which is yang sama. Kena small and short. Smaller plants, tumbuhan renek, pokok renek, and akar yang pendek. From these 3 tane. So other than that, so guys, what is the 4th tane we have to memorize? Quite similar compositions from tane Chernosem yang hitam, but they are going to have suhu yang sederhana panas. So sederhana panas, they are going to allow the bacteria to start activated back. So they are trying to slowly turning this tannin hitam yang acid into brown color and then the red color. So which is your tannin? Left-hand side. So right-hand side is the eclipse step for the hutan. Oh, sorry, I forgot to mention. The tannin chernosen is in your hutan daun lulu hutan padan rumput hawa sederhana. So this is the third hutan, but all the hutan here is only rumput. So there's a padan rumput hawa sederhana, also can known as hutan rumput steppe, right? So do we have the hutan rumput steppe? So that's why this is the padan rumput hawa sederhana, also known as your hutan rumput steppe. Steppe. Okay. So all the plants here we have to memorize as grass, then rumput, feather grass, big blue stem grass, buffalo grass, switch grass. This is all the contour for padan rumput hawa sederhana. So this is right hand side below the eclipse Siberia. Eclipse steppe. Steppe on the left hand side will be the eclipse Mediterranean. So this is hutan Mediterranean for the terra rosa. Understand? So that's why you can see the same columns are. Yeah. So this is your fourth tannin for the terra rosa. Okay, for the hutan Mediterranean. So what is the contour? Sorry, the chili for terra rosa. They are quite similar to our hutan tropica, which is we have the tanah liat, tannin pasir, and then the merah. But they are merah chocolate. What is merah chocolate? Which means they are trying to slowly letting the bacteria to activate the tannin hitam yang sejuk in this iklim suhu sederhana panas to slowly turning the hitam into the dark brown color. So merah chocolate, which means there are still bacteria, still suhu, but compared to ours, like also merah kuning. So the chocolate turns to kuning, which means lighter color. We have more bacteria to convert the acidic substances into the nutrients for plants to absorb. That's why all the trees here in hutan hujan tropica and hutan monsoon tropica consist of laternal lactosol. They are going to grow super tall, at least 30 meters and above. So that's why all the plants here usually is shorter. We have some exemption one. So tannin terra rosa, all the chiridan, right? So this is also known as the hutan Mediterranean or hutan pangkut and hutan pocotirus. What is pocotirus? The leaves. The leaf is not Propentotirus diffugio. It's not diffugio. It's the whole leaves is tirus one. So what is tirus punya daun? So we have the lavender, we have the rosemary. How to memorize rosemary? Terra rosa. So rosemary and lavender. So rosemary, lavender. Okay. Hutan padanum. Yeah. So this is hutan Mediterranean, rosemary, lavender, and then pine and laurel. So this is all the pokok yang mempunyai daun tirus. So hutan Mediterranean in your tannin terra rosa. Dana. So this is the fourth tannin. And then followed by guys, which one? After terra rosa. So follow to our lato. So what? Panas dan lembab. Because the most useless is the number 6. Aridiso. Why aridiso is very useless? Because panas dan kering. So kering, which means lesser water vapor, lesser humidity. So the soil is going to become too cheery. Kering dan tandus. So tandus, which means just like sand, they are not able to gather the water, not going to collect all the water. So there's all the roots within the tannin. Aridiso is akar panjang. So this is known as kurun panas. So kurun panas, usually their roots is going to grow very super long, and then their batang is able to collect water, and then the leaves is berbentuk bulu. Bulu for kurun panas, berbentuk jarum for hutan-hutan yang sejuk like hutan conifer, hutan tundra. So this is the daun berbentuk jarum. So for kurun panas berbentuk bulu. Not in this current chapter 4 or chapter 3 is your upcoming chapter 8. Chapter 8, sorry, bab 8. Dan already so useless one. That's why hidupan dia kurang aktif. So if you attend my class before, right, daun yang dapat ditumbuhi di gurun panas, which means they can try to have daya tahan tinggi on the desert. So this is known as tumbuh-tumbuhan xerophytes. So for the hidupannya here is known as nocturnal because during the daytime, super warm, right? This is all the suhu-suhu. That's why they are rather trying to stay under the cave, under the shadow from all the trees, rocks. This is to save their energy. So that's why they are stuck searching for food during the nighttime within the desert. So this is known as nocturnal, only active pada waktu malam, nocturnal. So that for the Gurun Panas, so most important one, memorize. Torso is quite similar to the Terra Rosa. Why? We have the Tanah Liat also. Liat, what do we call that? Clay. So clay can try to store water. Basil, agar-agar, the basil, try to let some of the water to flow through. So this is going to become saliran bio. So that's why for the Hutan Hujan Tropica, Hutan Monsoon Tropica, and Hutan Conifer, and the Hutan Mediterranean, this is all saliran bio. Saliran bio because they have the sand. Okay. So for the chili, merah and chocolate is Terra Rosa. So that's why the chocolate is going to become brighter, become kuning, because the bacteria here in Hutan Hujan and Hutan Monsoon Tropica is much more active. So active, they are going to hardworking, slowly turning the dark color, brown color into the kuning. So which means this is Daniel Lactose budding subu. Why subu is not only full of bacteria trying to turn the substances into nutrients, they are also going to get a lot of water. That's why lembab is another additional chili compared to the Terra Rosa. Lembab due to the Hutan Monsoon Tropica and Hutan Hujan Tropica receiving more than almost 2,000 mm of air hujan. So that's why hujan yang lebat, tanah yang lembab. And then the tanah can try to using the clay layer to store water, and then using the sand to let water to flow through. So that's why if the water able to flow through, bacteria is going to grow super active. So that's why water is stagnant there, saliran buruk, bacteria is going to grow until a limit, then they are not going to let the tanah to become much more subur. Saliran buruk kurang subur. Okay, so done. So guys, memorizing the pokok-pokok in Hutan Hujan Tropica and Hutan Monsoon Tropica. Remember the CJM? I mentioned multiple before, multiple times. CJM, so Hutan Conifer, CB, FPS, so Hutan Mediterranean, so Hutan Mediterranean. What do you have to memorize? Anyone? What's the Hutan for the Mediterranean? Pokok-pokok. Hutan Mediterranean, remember, Tane Terra Rosa, rosemary. Due to the Tane Terra Rosa, rosemary. Lavender, pokok laurel, pokok pine. So for the Tane, permafrost in Hutan Tundra. So we just try to memorize Lumut, Kulam Pile, and so this is your Hutan Tundra. So Lumut, Kulam Pile, and then the only birch, but this birch, right? Just try to stop for birch because we have another birch in Hutan Conifer. So that's why the birch here, right? Stick with your chera. So the birch also can grow in Hutan Tundra. So birch, B. Okay, so for the remaining RED source, this is Gurun Panas. So Gurun Panas, we have the pokok cactus, pokok acacia, rumput alfalfa, so bushes, so pokok kurumalo. So we have plenty of plants to grow here, but they are not going to stay near to each other. So this is not hutan. Gurun Panas is not hutan. It's just kawasan Gurun Panas. The remaining is all hutan. Why? Because tumbuh-tumbuhan yang jarang, known as xerophytes, harder to survive within the desert, Gurun Panas. Remember, there's no hutan here, no hutan within your Gurun Panas. Okay, pokoknya tundra. Yeah, so this is known as your kawasan. Kawasan Gurun Panas. Done. So the remaining one is your iklim, right? So guys, rather than spending a lot of time to keep revising all the iklim. So guys, what is the two iklim I asked you guys to memorize the most? We have four iklim. Iklim Siberia, iklim Laurentia, right? And then followed by the iklim Monsoon Tropica, and then the iklim Gurun Panas, right? Always try to memorize the coldest and then the warmest. So guys, you guys can circle now. For the iklim, right? Always Siberia first, and then the iklim Gurun Panas. So if you guys still able to, then only try to memorize more on Monsoon Tropica and then Laurentia later. Okay, just for the iklim. Why? Because they are trying to target the iklim linked to the tumbuh-tumbuhan. So what kind of min suhu, what kind of hujan can let which type of plants to survive in Hutan Conifer and then the Hutan, kawasan Gurun Panas. So that's why all the plants here I'm not going to repeat unless we are trying to memorize Hutan Hujan and Hutan Monsoon Tropica for the CJM. So Hutan Conifer for the plants and animals, and then the kawasan Gurun Panas for the plants and animals. Okay, so this is summary for your bab 3. So bab 3, a lot of items to memorize. And your bab 4, give me 3 more minutes. So we have around 10 more minutes to settle some of the exercises structure. Okay, at least one essay question. So guys, for all the hutan here, if you guys can recall, AM is air masin. So that's why the hutan is going to have this profile. tumbuh-tumbuhan berbeza mengikut jarak dari laut. Tumbuh-tumbuhan yang berbeza mengikut jarak dari laut. So that's why hutan padat air masin we have B and N. Yeah, if let's say this is a laut, so this is laut, right? So if this is a laut, so this is your pokok pakau, pokok nipah, pokok nipah, B and N. But if this is hutan pantai, we have the short tall, known as the tumbuh-tumbuhan berbeza yang mengikut jarak dari laut dengan ketinggian yang berbeza. So there's a hutan pantai at another half more cheery. So this is the short tall, known as your tapak kuda, followed by pokok ru, and then followed by all the pokok-pokok cemerlang, bintangkok, and mengkuang laut. So the last one will be a pokok kelapa. So this is all the tumbuh-tumbuhan yang berbeza mengikut jarak dari laut for hutan yang berair masin. Okay, so for the hutan hujan tropika, hutan padat air tawar, hutan gunung is all the air tawar, right? So 80 air tawar. So we have 4 layers here. Montane bawah is the bottom layer, so that's supposed to be writing as your 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So which means 1, 2, 3, 4 is following the lapisan paling rendah until the highest one. So montane bawah, montane atas, hampir alpine, and alpine. So guys, right now, montane bawah is starting from 1,200 meter. So remember, hutan gunung is from 1,200 meter. That's so which means we are trying to memorize vice versa for the ketinggian. So 1,000 to 1,800 meter. So 1,800 meter until the montane atas is 2,900 meter. So 2,000 until the lapisan tumbuhan hampir alpine. So this until 3,500 meter. So exceeding 3,500 meter is all your tumbuhan alpine. So Austin, just I tried to mention, right? For the OP, because so much OP, right? Because like this kind of term, right? Overpower. So that's why the O is referring to the orchid. So orchid able to survive in montane bawah and tumbuhan alpine. So this is your O. Okay, so the P is in the center is because we have the period kera. You guys know what is period kera, right? The plants trying to consume the insects one, the bugs one. So this is the period kera. So that's why you can try to mention as OPK, able to survive in the lapisan montane atas and tumbuhan alpine. Just that this is lower layer, right? So period kera in montane atas usually is larger size, like the forearm. Okay, but if the period kera able to grow in this layer, 2009 to 3005, for the lapisan tumbuhan alpine, they are going to become just your palm size. Forearm size for the montane atas, and then palm size for the period kera in your lapisan tumbuhan alpine. Because taller the altitude, the ketinggian, smaller and shorter for the plants. So that's why this is what we call pokok-pokok kecil in this layer. And then the montane atas usually is known as tumbuh-tumbuhan or pokok-pokok yang rendah. So tumbuhan hampir alpine is tumbuh-tumbuhan yang pantut, smaller size. So this is tumbuhan alpine. The lumut and kulambat is reddish. Understand? So this is your pokok kecil, pokok rendah. This is kecil. Okay, so this tumbuh-tumbuhan yang rendah, followed by pantut, and then last one is your reddish. So this is your hutan gunung. So below hutan gunung, your hutan hujan tropika also 4 layers. So the 4 layers is according to the 1, 2, 3, 4 here. So lantai hutan, lapisan tengah, canopy, and emergent. So yes, I'm trying to ignore the silhouette and region because most likely they are using canopy and emergent in your structure or objective. So what is a ketinggian? So lantai hutan is starting from 0 meter, right? So lantai hutan is until 10 meter. So 10 meter until lapisan tengah is 20 meter. But lapisan canopy is the tallest, and then the thickest layer is 20 to 40 meter. 20 to 40 meter. So emergent is 40 to 50 meter. Remember? Okay, so I thought this is until all the hutan hujan tropika is growing below the hutan gunung. Hutan gunung is 1,002 ma. That's why this is just the height for the trees. So all the hutan hujan tropika is we have tanah pama, most likely is tanah pama plus a little bit of tanah tinggi. So which means hutan hujan tropika is actually from 0 meter from tanah pama all the way up to 1,200 meter. Because 0 to 1,200 meter is the ketinggian for bentuk muka bumi. So that's how we can try to memorize. If tanah pama, right, we are trying to memorize, let's say Taman Negara Tahan, Taman Negara Pahang. Okay, so for the hutan hujan tropika in tanah tinggi exceeding 180 meter, we are trying to memorize pancaran titi wangsa. Okay, and then remember lantai hutan we have the super fit punya tumbuh-tumbuhan. What is the super fit? Remember, Ravina, Ranilas, yesterday class? The super fit, the saprophyte, mushroom, cendawan. So for the lapisan tengah, we have the epiphyte and then the parasite. So we have the tumbuhan paku and the rafflesia. So this is the two layers you have to memorize. What is the other tumbuh-tumbuhan able to grow here? So you actually also done already, right? So this is the summarize for the hutan hujan tropika. So the last one, this is 4 layers. This is 4 layers. But your hutan paya air tawar, we have only 3 layers, which is lapisan pokok renet, lapisan tengah canopy. So that's why we didn't have the emergent. Okay, so that's why pokok renet. So usually all the ketinggian for hutan paya air tawar, usually all these three is all these 3 layers lesser than 30 meter. So that's why 30 meter is just agak-agak in between of lapisan canopy. That's why when we are trying to memorize, the same tree able to grow in hutan paya and hutan hujan tropika, we are trying to memorize on the meranti. That's why meranti able to grow in hutan hujan tropika for up until 40 to 50 meter. This tall. But the meranti able to flow according to the sungai until flow to the hutan paya air tawar yang berpagung air. So this is the meranti paya. Usually the height will be less, around 30 meter or maybe 15 to not even 30 meters. So this meranti and meranti paya, we have one similarity. So what's the similarity? They have the same root known as akar banil. What is akar banil? Similar with the another akar J. So what is akar J? Akar jangkang. So what is the root for the akar banil akar jangkang? So akar jangkang is for the hutan paya air masin and then the hutan paya air tawara. So this is your akar jangkang, I write in between. Because akar banil and akar jangkang trying to form another word. Banil plus the J here, jangkang the J, so it's going to form banjir. So what is banjir? Saliran bulu. So there's one banil and jangkang able to grow in hutan paya air tawar. Let's say for the meranti paya, but meranti paya is usually referring to the akar banil. So akar banil also exists in the hutan hujan tropika for the pokok meranti. So this is all the pokok banil, akar banil, trying to support the trees from not falling, no matter it's in hutan hujan tropika and hutan paya air tawar for the akar banil. So akar jangkang able to grow in two hutan paya air masin air tawar. Okay, so this is all about for now. Part 5, I already mentioned that I'm not able to summarize a lot. So guys, penuh muka bumi, we finish off tanah pama. Is your hutan hujan tropika. So pinggir laut, we have the hutan pantai, pinggir laut yang rendah. Let's say near to the muara sungai, hutan paya air masin. So hutan paya air tawar is the pinggir tasik or pinggir sungai. So we have tanah tinggi, we have hutan gunung. So try to memorize all the tanah paling subur, alluvium, second subuh laterally. That's why we have a lot of trees able to grow in hutan hujan tropika. So for the hutan gunung, they didn't have the tanah paling subur. They have the second subuh, which is laterally. So that's why the trees here can grow short or tall. For the hutan gunung here, just pokok-pokok kecil, pokok-pokok rendah. So for the hutan paya, just the gambut and alluvium. Why is it going to have alluvium? Because the alluvium filled by water, air masin or air laut. So that's why it's known as gambut punya tanah lumpur. So it's the same tanah alluvium, but just covered by water. It's known as tanah gambut. But why do we have alluvium field? Because not all the hutan paya is flooded. That's why if you look at the hutan paya air masin, only the pokok pakau is di tepi pinggir laut. So that's why it's always having the high tide, low tide. That's why ditenggelami air. But the pokok nipat and pokok nipong, right? Behind the two pokok, they are just using the not ditenggelami air punya tanah gambut. It's just alluvium. So that's why we have the most subur punya tanah alluvium and then the covering in water. So this is alluvium in water, gambut for hutan paya, air masin, and air tawar. So hutan pantai just berpasir. So this is your tanah. Easily to settle, right? So saliran finish, right? So this is your iklim khatulistiwa since form 2. Not going to cover. Yeah, so guys, before we end in the class, no questions able to discuss. So kepentingan refer to the TDC nota. I'm going to mention it next week. Always try to memorize sumber perhubatan. Let's say tongkat ali. let's say Pergaga, let's say Sembong, and then Sembong and Senduduk. I'm going to mention on next class. So other than that, habitat and ecosystem always combine together. When we have habitat, which is the tumbuh-tumbuhan sebelah jadi, try to let hidupan liar to survive here. So all the flora and fauna is able to form ecosystem, which means food chain. This is food chain. So bahan mentah is for kayu barat, kawasan padat hujan. So guys, other than bahan mentah is just for your bab 8. So that's why we have to remember at least 1, 2, 3 kepentingan within your bab 4. So other than these 3 kepentingan, we are going to focus on the next class. So the kesan positive and then kesan negative. So kesan positive, we are trying to memorize penghutanan and penghutanan semula. Pembangunan and penghutanan. So which means pembangunan hutan is becoming hutan simpan kekal. So penghutanan semula is trying to make sure as taman negara. I'm going to elaborate this part for your essay. Yeah, next class. So negative, no more ecosystem because kepupusan flora dan fauna lah. So if there's no flora and fauna for the tumbuh-tumbuhan sebelah jadi dan hidupannya, so all the kawasan tanah hujan also terganggu, which means when there's no more plants and animals, ecosystem, food chain is not going to exist. And then when there's no more trees within the hutan gunung and hutan hujan tropika, tanah tinggi, right? So which means all the water cannot store within the jungle, within the hutan hujan and hutan gunung. So the water is going to keep flowing because no more akan trying to grab all the soil. So that's why no more hutan tanah tinggi able to retain the water. So that's why we do not have embangan anymore. So the water just becoming hutan paya from hutan hujan tropika and hutan gunung, all just hutan paya. So that when there's no more trees, no more roots. And if this is going to happen, all the soil is collapsing. So that's why just try to focus on 1, 2, focus on negative. This is your 3 points in your kesan positive, 2 points in your kesan negative. So we try to elaborate. This is your 10 marks here for your essay. Okay, so this is summary. I'm trying to revise for you all. So before we end the class, 1 more minute. So hidupan liar in Malaysia, try to focus in your national animal for Malaysia, always tabil, harimau Malaya, these two, and then followed by the orang utan and then para Sumatra. So for those who are going to cover your bab 5 in the midterm exam in another 2 or 3 more weeks, right? Try to memorize the populasi and then the hutan. So this is your bab 5. Okay, just I'm trying to scan through. So this is the TDC nota for all the 10 animals here. So always have to memorize the populasi and then the habitat, which is referring to which location. Yeah, so always tabil first, harimau, and then the para Sumatra and your orang utan. Okay, okay, so that's it for the seminar. So guys, for those who wanted me to explain for the exercises, ask me for extra class. Okay, next week or next 2 weeks, next 2 weeks, I'm going to prepare all the answer so that you guys can try to understand how to tackle. Okay, so that's why this seminar 1.5 hours, no, totally not enough time. I'm going to prepare another extra class for you guys to copy all the answer here. Okay, guys, just try to elaborate, revise for all the part 1, 2, 3, 4. Done? Maybe not this Saturday, Sunday, not upcoming one. I'm going to prepare for Form 4, Form 5 first. Another 2 more weeks. Yeah, for free, just ask me from the WhatsApp group. I will try to give you guys the link. Okay, that's it, guys. Try your objective first, try your subjective, and then get answer from teacher. Next few days. Bye, guys.